There are moments when the Earth looks like it is no longer the place we once knew. Red-hot lava plunges into the sea. An ordinary sky suddenly turns into a giant disk. An entire island turns crimson as millions of creatures migrate. A quiet road is swallowed by rocks and mud in a matter of seconds. And elsewhere, the ground spews mud and boiling water, making sounds like a waking machine. All of this is real, and fortunately, cameras captured it all. In Hawaii, the ocean does not always win. Along the black volcanic coastline, everything can begin in perfect calm. The waves still roll in, the wind still blows, and the sea remains blue, as if nothing is about to happen. But deep within the island, lava begins to crawl outward. It moves slowly, heavily, and glowing red, burning everything in its path as it advances toward the ocean. When lava reaches the water, the scene becomes almost unreal. Fire and ocean collide, creating enormous white columns of steam that rise from the surface of the sea. This happens because lava, which is hotter than 1,000 degrees Celsius, comes into contact with seawater that is much colder. The extreme temperature difference causes the water to vaporize almost instantly, while the outer layer of the lava cools and hardens into new rock. From a distance, it looks like a beautiful mist drifting over the water. But inside it are extreme heat, volcanic gases, and fragments of newly formed rock. This is how Earth builds itself, destroying an old piece of land, then creating a new one. But if, in Hawaii, fire meeting the sea creates steam, then in Japan, another volcano transformed the color of the entire sky. October 20th, 2021. An ordinary day around Mount Aso on the island of Kyushu. The scenery is beautiful. Clouds drift over the mountains, and everything is lush and green. But in a single instant, a massive column of ash suddenly shoots straight into the sky from the crater, carrying hot rocks, volcanic gases, and fine dust. This happens when the pressure building up deep beneath the mountain becomes too intense. Magma, hot gases, and steam are compressed until the rock layer above can no longer hold them back. When it ruptures, all that energy is released at once, blasting ash high into the air like a massive cloud born from the depths of the earth. From afar, it looks like a spectacular movie scene. But up close, it is a sign of pure danger. Rocks can rain down, ash can completely block the roads, and the air becomes unbreathable in just minutes. And after the Earth pushes darkness into the sky, there are times when the sky itself creates shapes that make us feel like we are looking at another planet. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes directly between the Earth and the sun, blocking some or all of the light we see from the ground. This phenomenon only happens during a new moon, when the three celestial bodies align in a nearly perfect straight line. If the moon completely covers the sun's disk, it is a total solar eclipse. If it covers only a part, it is a partial solar eclipse. And when the moon is farther away and looks smaller than the sun, it leaves a ring of light around the edge, creating an annular eclipse, often called a ring of fire. On a global scale, solar eclipses are not exceedingly rare, but at any specific location, especially a total solar eclipse, it is highly uncommon because the path of totality is just a narrow strip that usually sweeps by very quickly. During those few brief minutes, daytime can plunge into darkness. The temperature drops slightly, and the sky looks as though it has stepped into another world. That is why eclipses once terrified ancient humans. In reality, though, this is no supernatural omen. It is simply the beautiful clockwork of orbital motion, spatial geometry, and a near-perfect cosmic alignment. Even so, looking directly at the sun during an eclipse remains very dangerous for your eyes. To view it safely, you must use specialized solar filters or indirect viewing methods. Only during the brief moment of totality, when the sun is completely covered, can humans look with the naked eye for a very short time. Not every storm begins with thunder and lightning. In New Mexico, the first sign is just a dark streak sitting low on the horizon. It stands there for a few seconds, seemingly harmless. Then, the wind picks up. That dark streak begins to grow thicker and taller, and in the blink of an eye, the entire desert seems to be lifted right off the ground. A massive wall of dust charges toward the camera. There is no floodwater. There is no red fire. Yet everything vanishes. Houses fade away. Trees are swallowed into a murky brown abyss. The road ahead is reduced to just a few feet of visibility, enough to turn every drive into a dangerous gamble. This phenomenon, known as a haboob, happens when strong winds from a thunderstorm slammed down onto the ground, sweeping across dry land and churning the dust into a moving mountain. From a distance, it is an incredibly beautiful sight, but inside, there is nothing but choking dust, howling wind, screeching brakes, and the unsettling feeling of not knowing what is right in front of you. And when the sky can drag an entire desert into a city, the next storms show that nature does not need to be massive to be dangerous. In Italy, after days of heavy, oppressive summer heat, the sky suddenly changes color. Then the rain falls, but it is no longer water. Giant hailstones pelt the streets, smashing into car windshields, roofs, and pavements like rocks thrown from above. In just minutes, a summer day turns into utter chaos. This happens when powerful updrafts inside a storm push water droplets high into the atmosphere, where temperatures are freezing. Each time the ice is tossed up and falls back down, it gains another layer of ice, until it becomes too heavy for the wind to hold and plummets straight to the ground. But over in Chile, danger comes from a different direction. The snow no longer falls bit by bit. It accumulates on the mountain slopes, growing heavier and increasingly unstable until it breaks loose. It slides down as a massive white wall, blocking roads and crushing anything small in its path. When water freezes, it can fall from the sky as destructive ice. When snow loses its grip, it can take an entire mountainside with it. Hidden within the cold, misty forests of the Annamite Range, along the border of Vietnam and Laos, lives a creature so elusive that almost no biologist has ever seen it in the wild. This is the Saola, often called the Asian unicorn. The species was first discovered in May 1992 in Vu Quang National Park, Vietnam, during a joint survey by the Ministry of Forestry of Vietnam and the WWF. The discovery shocked the world, as finding a completely new large mammal at the end of the 20th century was thought to be virtually impossible. It was not until 1996 that researchers managed to capture the first photos of a live Saola in Laos. Though it closely resembles an antelope at first glance, DNA testing revealed that the Saola belongs to the bovine subfamily, making it more closely related to wild cattle and bison. An adult Saola can measure about 4 to 5 feet long, stands nearly 3 feet tall at the shoulder, and weighs around 220 pounds. It features a striking dark brown coat, distinct white markings on its face, and a pair of long, straight, parallel horns that can exceed 20 inches in length. Saolas typically live in dense forests near streams at elevations between 650 and 2,000 feet. Because they are so rarely observed, science still knows very little about their behavior, breeding habits, or true population numbers. 9. It is this unique appearance and profound rarity that make the Saola one of the most mysterious and special secrets of the Annamite Mountains. In the arid lands of southern Africa, where intense heat can last for months and rain may be absent for long stretches of time, there is a plant so small that it can easily be mistaken for a stone. It is Lithops, commonly known as living stones. These little flowering rocks are unbelievably adorable. Just look at them. On dry, gravel-covered ground, a tiny stone suddenly splits open, and from the gap between its two leaves emerges a white or yellow flower. The sight makes Lithops look as though life itself is blooming directly out of stone. These clever succulents must be master actors, pretending to be rocks in order to avoid being devoured by thirsty animals searching for moisture. Their camouflage is so effective that even experts sometimes struggle to spot them in the wild. However, most lithops happily burst into daisy-like blooms during autumn and early winter, revealing their true identity as plants. But there is little they can do about it. A plant must do what a plant needs to do. And that is not their only remarkable trait. These surprisingly romantic plants possess another special ability that allows them to thrive in such harsh, dry environments. Even when no rain falls, they can continue to survive by drawing moisture from fog and dew. Leaving behind the tiny plants that disguise themselves as stones to survive, nature takes us to a place where an entire mountainside looks as if it has been covered in white snow. Pamukkale, Turkey. From a distance, this place looks like a giant cotton castle under the golden sunlight. White stone terraces stack on top of one another, holding pale blue pools of water like small mirrors on the hillside. But this is not ice, and it is not snow. It is travertine, a white limestone deposit formed when mineral-rich hot water flows down from underground springs. For over thousands of years, that water carried calcium across the cliffs. As it cooled, it left behind thin layers of minerals. Layer after layer, those deposits built the bright white terraces, as if nature had slowly constructed a palace out of water and stone. Pamukkale is famous not only for its almost unreal beauty, but also because it reveals the quiet power of time. It does not need an explosion. It does not need an earthquake. With only flowing water, settling minerals, and thousands of years of patience, Earth can still create a scene so surreal that people feel as if they are walking on clouds. Hidden beneath the green hills of New Zealand are the Waitomo Glowworm Caves, a deep, dark, cold, and humid cave system that feels almost cut off from the outside world. But what makes this place famous is not the limestone formations or the underground streams, but the strange light that appears across the cave ceiling. As people ride a boat across the calm, black water, they look up and see thousands of tiny blue lights floating in the darkness, like a starry sky buried deep beneath the ground. The scene is so beautiful that many people once thought it looked like magic, or some mysterious phenomenon created by rocks and minerals. For a long time, that light made visitors curious. Some believed it was a reflection from the water. Others thought the cave ceiling contained a glowing mineral. But when scientists studied it more closely, they discovered something even stranger. Those glowing dots come from the larvae of a glowworm species found only in New Zealand. They produce bioluminescent light to attract small flying insects into sticky silk threads hanging down from the cave ceiling. In other words, that beautiful starry sky is actually a hunting trap hidden in the darkness. That is why Waitomo glowworm caves are not just a beautiful destination. They are a place where nature turns darkness into light and transforms a silent cave into one of the most mysterious underground performances on Earth. After everything we have seen, these moments remind us that Earth is never truly still. It can erupt with fire, darken the sky, bring water back to dry land, break apart walls of ice, and cover the ground with life in ways no one expects. The camera has captured only a small fraction of it. If you want to keep exploring the most unbelievable natural phenomena on Earth, subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next journey.